Hello everybody, I'm back here for SimNews.TV. I'm the Scrutineer. I'm here talking everything there is to know about GPVWC, YTF1, not YTF1, WTF1. My goodness, apologies, what a start to the broadcast that is. That's great, isn't it? But let's get the logos up just so then we know what we're talking about. GPVWC.com and the Superleague campaign that they've got there. If you've been watching the series, we've been going on about everything that's unique about this series. There's so much going on. And we're going to have to delve right into it because we've got car developments to talk about, we've got engine developments, engine choices, tyre choices, strategy options. There's so much going on here because yes, it is Monaco week. If you are not a big fan of GPVWC, this is one to watch, definitely, even if you just like carnage normally for the first lap. And we've got new drivers in this time, we've got new teams this year. Goodness knows what they're going to do with Monaco, but I can't wait to see what happens. Monaco is always incredible, love it or hate it on the real calendars. You still watch. Everyone watches it. It's not a great race normally, but it is in GPVWC. This is one thing that sim racing can do a lot better than real racing is Monaco and street circuits in general like this. So watch on Thursday, all on SimNews.TV as well, and on GPVWC's YouTube channel. All the links will be on our Facebook, on everything basically. So just keep following, subscribing, and we'll keep you informed. So delving right in, you can also make sure you can. I've got the comments going around as well, so if you do want to write to me, Mr. Ben Hole, hiya, then we can always answer any questions or any controversial opinions, anyone you think you're going to win, anything you think is doing particularly well, management wise or strategy wise. If you think I've missed anything, not perfect in this world, I like to think I am, but I'm not quite perfect, then you can always let me know, basically. Opening myself to abuse there, aren't I? That's not good. But we can definitely go through absolutely everything that's gone on. So there's a few, we'll go through standings orders normally, because all the cars are different, because they develop it all the way. Now most teams, as we've spoken about previously, it takes 2 rounds really to bring a full development onto the car. So it means that people that developed last time out, which we saw quite a lot of cars doing, and a lot of teams doing, won't be able to do that this time out. So there's a lot less going on, but there's still a lot of strategy things we can look at and what they talk about, and the ones that have developed is very interesting as well. So we'll go back through. So let's throw up ACR, so they're leading the championship at the moment. They haven't brought anything to this event because, as we saw last time, they developed both the weight and diffuser areas quite heavily so far. You can't really say they're doing anything wrong at the moment, top of the standings. Fair play to them. Edge. Oh, that's not a good placement, is it? There we are, that's better. Edge, their last time out, if we spoke, if you remember, if you were watching, the first development they did body drag and front wing downforce. Perfectly fine if that's where they wanted to go. Next time out, though, for Spain, they only brought the front wing downforce. They didn't do a second one. You can always up to 2 areas at the same time. So they brought that one to that event, which meant that they had a slot effectively that was developing, which then meant they could bring weight for this event, which is a bigger jump. So they managed to develop 24% of the weight upgrade for this event onto here, which is a fair enough gain. We kind of guessed it out last time out that they're potentially now doing every other, which is a legitimate strategy to get a car that's always up there, never the best, but always up there. So you have to have faith in your drivers that they can get a little bit more out of the car. Edge obviously think that with Yaltine and Peter Burlak. So they've gone, and weight around Monaco is about one of the few upgrades that is a legitimately decent option around Monaco, and it's pretty standard as well. Edge under their previous guys of Walters were very big on doing the weight upgrade as well. Last year we saw, so it's no surprise that it's that one. But good on them. They're trying something different. So it means that they can't develop that slot for next time out in Canada, where most people have 2 developments. So we'll see them drop down the order a little bit from a development point of view in Canada, but here at Monaco they're quite high up, so we'll find that in a bit. Epic. They are following very much the same route as ACR, so they've gone weight and diffuser, and it's very similar figures, and they've not brought anything to this time either because they're following a very similar pattern there. Legitimately, you think this is a brand new team, they've won a race already, sitting 3rd in the championship, doing exactly the same as ACR's act speed. Fair enough, good on them, they're doing very well. Another new team we've got then in 4th, we've got Evolution jumped a few places last round, so they haven't brought anything this time out. They did the weight diffuser and rear wing downforce previously, but that means they'll probably bring 2 upgrades to Canada. But the car's obviously working for them. They've got a decent weight upgrade there, which is still higher than like the Edge car, for example. When I say higher on weight, that does mean obviously the weight has decreased. It's a higher development, which means the weight's decreased. Hawkeye still sitting in 4th. They've kept with their 2 areas of front wing downforce and diffuser. They haven't brought anything to this time. Same car they had last time out, basically. But they did drop behind Evolution after last time out. Storm, they're still sitting quite high up for them. I'm quite impressed with them so far. They've done front wing downforce, body drag and diffuser. We spoke about them last time. They've sort of split the body drag and front wing diffuser. They used 1 slot for both of that, and diffuser they've done twice. But sitting pretty high for them after what was, let's be honest, pretty dismal last year. But maybe they've got Menno Clont sitting in that car. He's a manager of another team. Granted, not doing so well this year, that team, but actually, that experience may be helping them. Maybe not. Maybe he's not doing anything to them. I don't know, but that it does seem to ring a bell, maybe. And obviously, the team itself is doing quite well. Though, when you're ahead of Nordsten, you've got to be in a good place, haven't you? Really. So again, they haven't put anything on the car this time out. They've done 4 areas you've seen here, so they haven't done anything twice. They've picked something different every time. Which, as we spoke about last time, is at the moment looks a bit sporadic, but we'll find out next time out if they've got a bit more of a plan where they're thinking they're heading now. They've sort of tried 4 areas that they thought might be the ones to go for, so let's see what they decide to actually stick with and go for again. But the car is they did score some points, so they're gradually getting there, but we'll see how that pans out. Eval, new team as well, doing quite well when they're just chasing up Nordsten. You think they have brought something this time out though. So remember, when we speak, if you've spoken and you've watched any of my previous shows, you will know that Eval have gone sort of off sync, off kilter with everyone else. Being a new team, completely legitimate strategy, great stuff. It means every other round you've potentially got the best car on the grid. Unfortunately for Eval, they've so far been street circuits like Baku and now Monaco. Not the best. It doesn't. It's tracks where it doesn't quite matter as much if your car is better than everyone else's, but still, you can't really go wrong when you've got the best car. So they've put front wing downforce on again. They've added 18% to that to get to 37, and they've done weight as well. Very popular around Monaco, doing weight there. They had the rear wing downforce previously, so that's quite. I find quite interesting by Eval there that they've done something a bit different. I like the way they're working with it. I hope that they can do something with it from down there. They've been arguably could have had better results than they've had so far, but they've done pretty well as a new team. And I'd like to think that with a new car around Monaco, though, one crash like that, sorry, it doesn't matter how good your car is. You can't upgrade against a barrier. So barrier always wins, I'm afraid. Flag to flag doing quite well as well. They're chasing down Eval. Mad to think that actually, when you're ahead of some of the teams that we're going to come on to, you're actually the lowest, like one of the lowest new teams. It's a bit crazy, really. Not the lowest, because we have got another one. They haven't brought anything to this round. They were expecting to. I spoke last time and said I thought they were going to bring another upgrade. They brought for round 2 they brought 2 upgrades. For last time out in Spain, which would have been in sync with everyone else, they only brought an upgrade to diffuser again, so that's why it's at 32. They didn't bring a second upgrade on weight. So I would have expected either a second upgrade on weight or something else that they were going to do. So they were all trying to. I thought they were going to do the whole edge thing, one every time, which again, quite a nice little strategy. Not turned out that way. So I'm not quite sure what's happened. There's two things here really. The team being very cagey with me. I was trying to get it out of them. I know they do watch this show. So hi guys, they've either done 2 things here. They've either decided, you know what, there's not much point in really upgrading for Monaco because it's Monaco and you don't really need it. So we're going to do a huge upgrade because you would have had it. You could have had it at Spain. You haven't. You could then have had it at Monaco. You haven't. So it would be massive at Canada in theory. Whatever they're doing, they could have a really big plan and put something extra on the car. It's only a minor percentage you'd make extra on that by doing such a big difference, but it could make a big difference to them. Or they messed up. As a new team, it can happen, and they could have missed a deadline. They could have forgotten to submit something. Anything along those lines could also happen. I'm going to leave you guys to decide what you think of flag to flag and if they will have been very clever with it, which we'll find out next time out, or have they messed up. Thoughts in the comments, guys? Or if anyone flag to flag wants to tell me, that'd be great as well. But you will find Super League teams are very tight-lipped on what they're getting away and what they're allowing. But I suppose it could be, they could, if they show me on Thursday that it's legitimately they had a car that was worth winning anyway, then great work. We have got Red Archer next up. Red Archer are very low down the standings here, but actually the car mirrors basically the epic ACR kind of strategy car, where the weight and the diffuser is basically up there as well. a little bit mad really that you think they're finding down there. So that car is very worthwhile, so whoever gets in that car could do very well there. But they haven't brought anything to this event. Adonis as well, all the way down here. Oh, how the mighty have fallen at the moment. So we've got, it's a bit mad really when you think Monaco, the owner of Adonis, is driving for Storm, which is right up, we've already seen, way up the standings, and his team is down here at the moment. So he won't be very happy with that, I'm sure. We've got front wing downforce. I will catch on to that, Ben, don't worry. We've got they've done front wing downforce, body drag, rear wing downforce and diffuser. Again, swings a bit like Norwegian, trying a bit of everything. We're not quite sure what we're doing yet. Hopefully they've decided what they're doing, and that might push them forwards into actually picking areas that will improve that car and move them forwards. It's not all about the cars, it is about the drivers, because as we've come on to a few teams, some, you know, as we saw with Red Archer, the car is there. If you've basically got the same car as the car that's won the last 3 races, you kind of got to look at other areas maybe. But from a management perspective, good work. Street Fighter, or Red Bull Street Fighter as they like to be called. You've got front wing downforce and rear wing downforce that they had on the previous round. They haven't brought anything to this event. They, as I've just been reminded, they are running a special livery here. It does remind me of very closely of a team that won the championship last year. Maybe that'll bring them luck. They are sitting, you know, third from last down here behind, you know, where you expect the new boys to be. You've got new teams up in the top with race wins, and you've got a Red Bull sponsored team struggling to get points. Hopefully they'll find something this time out. Hopefully the team is there. They are arguably probably my disappointment of the season so far, but that's probably because I had such high expectations of them. You know, I think maybe they'll do. Maybe Florian's brought that Norwegian spirit, do better in the second part of the season. Maybe it's, you know, they're filling each other out. Maybe that's how it's the team getting together. They've got, you know, new people on board and everything, so maybe they haven't quite got what they're doing yet together. We'll see. But, you know, we expect them to bring stuff to Canada next time out, and maybe they've just got some luck. Maybe they need the luck to change with a new livery. Let's go Zurich, who jumped themselves up above Madcake this time out. So they have not bought anything this time, but they did a double diffuser so far, and they've done front wing and weight. Very standard, along with some of the teams that are much higher up as well. So you might, you know, the car is there. They've had an awful lot of bad luck as well, particularly like first lap incidents and things like this. So I'm not sure street circuits, if anything, Baku was anything to go by, will be particularly happy for them. But, you know, let's see if they can do anything with that. They'll be wanting to stay ahead of this Madcave car though. This one, the Madcave at the back. Now I did kind of slate him a little bit last time out for that, you know, sorry, that way, that front wing drag 8 upgrade, which just looks mad. But they obviously didn't finish it. I was considering giving them a little bit of credit. Maybe they did a very small upgrade last time, so it finished early, so they could get another upgrade in time for this one. They haven't brought anything. They've still got what they had previously. They've got the worst car on the grid. They had the worst car on the grid last year. They've only been in the league twice. They can't build cars. This is Madcave. Build a car. You're very good at iRacing. You're very good in other places. Learn how to build a car here. Speak to your drivers. I know you've got driver issues as well at the moment, but, you know, it very much was a one-man team driver-wise last year, who then got banned. So it's not great at the moment. It's very early days. You know, if they were speaking to Street Fighter and Zurich, they'll be saying it's really early days. We've got lots of season to go so far, but yeah, I would be worried if I was Madcave at the moment, when all these new teams that you'd normally expect to be further down as well, particularly as we have a relegation. You know, yeah, I do worry for this team. I think something needs shaking up. I'm hoping that they've got some great idea and they're going to come with some great, you know, some great upgrades for Canada maybe. I don't know what they're doing. I'm sorry. Madcave that was, yeah. About all you'll see of them, I'd imagine, at the moment. So that's a bit harsh, but nonetheless. So engines, we've got not a lot going on. This is what we had last time out, and this is what we have now. So as the engines are every 2 as well, nobody's gone off kilter with this. We've got exactly the same as we had before. It's Monaco though, so you kind of go, well, maybe the fuel efficiency will help. It's a lot of laps, but equal, you know, it's not really a power circuit as such. But at the same time, the downforce isn't really mattering as much, so maybe power will come into it. But actually, that's if you've got a full 100% engine. They're the percentages of each area, so you look at that. If you haven't watched it before, everybody's done power upgrades so far, but Valiant engine cars did more so far, but they haven't done any fuel efficiency. which allows more boost to be used, which all the other 3 have. Basically, sums that up. I'm getting sick of saying that every time, but nothing's changing. So, but of those engines, that's if you've got like a fresh engine, you get all those upgrades. If you've got a worn engine, then it takes it down. So the brake horsepower itself has dropped. So if you've got a power upgrade of 20%, but you're losing 10% back again because your engine has been used in previous rounds, then fair enough. Awful lot of thinking faces, guys, in the chat. Nobody actually wanted to make predictions. Everyone just thinking, maybe. I've caught you all half asleep. Oh, wrong one. Let's go to ACR engines. So last time out we saw an awful lot of a lot of engines being used because Spain, they wanted to use a lot of power. This time out though, we've got a lot of used engines, you'll find. So ACR, no exception here. Using 2 engines, you'll find the orange sort of figure is anything under 40%. It's sort of what we sort of start calling the danger zone. If 38 and 39 aren't going to fail realistically, not for that reason anyway. Anything sort of 30 or below may well do. But for now they won't do really, but it just means they're low on power. Basically, this is their last race for those engines. Edge, you've kind of gone the same in that Berleck's done that. Jarl last time out used a very worn engine in Spain, and has then used a nice, not a fresh engine, but a fresher engine. Like basically using about 30% every round if you finish. So you think Jarl's there has done a race, whereas Petter's there has done 2 races. So I'm not quite sure what they're thinking there. Jarl obviously wanted a little bit of extra power boost maybe compared to his teammate. Maybe he hasn't got another worn one left. You'd expect them to want to use a fresh one probably for Canada next time out, so it's understandable. Epic, gone the same. They've had both their cars finish as well, or their races, so they're down at 39 and 37%. Evolution, they've also done the same. Parker there with the lowest at 34 at the moment, but again, Parker's there actually is using Unit 1, which actually is the one that did Australia. Which, if you hadn't watched, Australia actually was a higher wear track. They've then since edited how much wear is on the engines because you wouldn't have been able to finish the season. They are limited to 6 engines per season, so that's why these teams use worn engines. Hawkeye, Costa running the same. That's probably 31. That's the lowest so far again. Fran Lopez, I'm told actually might not be in that car. At the time we did the graphics, he was, but I'm told that might not be him in there. So we'll find out who's going to be driving that car. I haven't actually checked, so apologies, but we may know before Thursday. Hopefully we'll find out who's driving that one. He may be doing a last race, I'm not too sure. Storm, now this is the one you want to look at, I'd imagine. So Storm, again using the worn engines, what they had, 31 and 28 for Liam DeWall. That's the closest I think we're going to get to a failure potentially. You'd probably be okay at 28. But we haven't actually seen them fail this year yet for that sort of reason. I'm only basing my assumptions on last year, which is a very different mod. So, but it's going to be sort of based on the same principles, where sort of anything around the 24-25 barrier was starting to get iffy, and you were having to manage the way you drove to get that car to the end. We'll see how Liam does. Nordstrom, they've got their 2 weakest units, I'd imagine, at 31 and 36. Eval haven't done that, but then this probably is their weakest 2 units because unfortunately they've had quite a lot of DNFs and things, and so potentially maybe that's the lowest engines they've got. I'm not too sure, or they didn't want to risk it. Maybe their engines are quite low. Not too sure, but I'd imagine that's probably the lowest they've got. Flag to flag, again also using I'd imagine the lowest they've got, in that Michael has got 46 and 38 for Mark. They should be absolutely fine. Yes, Yoel. Yours was very power hungry at 31. Yeah, it depends on how you drive it as well, though. It really isn't just down to if the engine will fail randomly. It gives you the base. Alright, I'll tell you what, I'll answer a few questions on engines as we get to the bottom here. We'll go through a few more because there's a few questions coming in. So, Red Archer, they've got a 40 and a 39. Again, should be absolutely fine. But, everyone's sort of down at that sort of level now, using the 3rd race. We've got Adonis here. They've got 2 engines that are with Yuri now in that car properly. He's Kazdorp there doing rather well in certain showings so far, and he's now given up his Super Cup slot to race here, so fair enough to him. But they've got 2 engines that are pretty decent, to be fair. Street Fighter using their most 2 worn engines, I'd imagine, the same ones last time out at 39 and 37. Missouric doing the same at only 30 for Parolini. should just about be fine, I'd imagine. But it's good to see these guys are testing it. We're learning as well on this show here what everyone's managing to do, so that's great. And Mad Cape, living up to the name, Mad Cape. They've gone with 100% engines for Monaco. Okay, let's see how that goes. I did manage to speak to the manager, who seems the drivers wanted that. They think they can make the most of it. Arguably, they're the only team with 100% engines on the grid. Maybe they can do something with it. Maybe, I mean, that means they can use. It's the brake horsepower though, so they've got a lot of brake horsepower. They can use boost as well because they've got that Martex engine in there. Maybe, but I mean, it's Monaco. You could just get stuck behind somebody for lap after lap after lap, and then yeah, it's irrelevant. So good luck to them. Kind of Mad Cape bashing tonight, aren't I? Alright, a few things on engines. So yeah, engine life, if it isn't enough percentage for the race, it's not quite like that. So if you started with, say it uses 30 as a norm, it's on the website as 30. But when it goes into the mod, basically you get it goes through as a, say, 28, but you start the race with that. That's the power. All it is the power. It's not necessarily engine life. It's just a lower power level. There is a bit to the to the life of it, but a lot of it is in game, so you can manage that in game. In theory, you can get. We did see. I keep bringing Dave Franchik up because he did it last year in the Street Fighter. I think he got a car that was about 21% home. He did the whole race, but he went very slowly. He had very safe settings. All it does really is keep those parameters a lot smaller, so you can't be pushing the car that much. You've just got to keep yourself much safer on the settings. That sort of stuff there, really. Who else had something in there? There was something there, wasn't there? Yeah, and Jarl, getting to the end with his engine at 31. Yeah, should be absolutely fine, really. It's just good that we haven't seen yet who will fail with an engine. Where's the limit? We don't know yet, so we'll look at the person that's got the least and see if that makes any difference at all. The other thing that people have is tyre choices. So that's the cars. Let's go on to tyre choices, because it's quite a big thing, really. Particularly around Monaco, where your car is less of a matter than anything else, probably anywhere else on the circuit, on the calendar. So if we're going to tyres, so we've got a lovely little graphic here showing you they've got a choice between ultra soft, super soft, softs, mediums and hards. There's 5 options. They can only bring 3 to an event. They have to have done that Friday just gone, so they have to look up, making sure that they know what strategies they're going to do, basically, and which is the fastest tyres. Most people bring the ultra soft because they can qualify on that. Basically, unless you've got a back of the grid or something and you know you're not going to do it. I know that Edge last time out didn't bring an ultra soft tyre to it and qualified on the super softs. They did rather well out of it, to be fair. They jumped a few places on the grid and things, so it can happen, but this is probably a track, of all tracks, Monaco is not a place where you want to start down the grid and have to start making up places. You want to be up, particularly as that first corner, you might end up in the middle of everything and you could be out of the race just because your strategy cool. I know people are even talking about trying to do a pit lane start to avoid the carnage potentially. There wasn't actually carnage last year in Superleague. There was in the lower series, but there wasn't in Superleague. But you look here and we go, right, there's a bit of, we'll sum it up at the end, but there's a bit of a collation starting, but the ones that are sort of out of sync, what we used to call the norm of these tracks is your ultra soft, super soft and softs, just because last year we got used to everyone picking that because they're the 3 fastest tyres. This year though, there is a bit of legitimate strategy options around, so quite a lot of teams are choosing the medium tyre and not having the super soft tyre because they think, well, I've got a fast enough tyre in the ultra soft because the ultra soft is actually lasting reasonably well. Quite a lot of drivers are being able to make it last, but it's just driver preference really. I suppose how some people eat their tyres more, some drive differently, but quite a lot of people are using the ultra softs instead of the super softs. Some like to have both the options. So you look there and go, Epic and Nordchen wanted all the fastest options, whereas ACR, Edge, Evolution, Hawkeye and Storm all didn't need the super soft option, or don't think they need the super soft option, and would rather have the medium, longer length tyre choice there. The second half of the grid have also sort of split very similarly in that you've still got Red Archer, Red Bull and Mad Cape. Interestingly, all the sort of teams that did that were sort of here last year, so I don't know whether they're just assuming that's the same thing. They used them last year. Whereas Eval, Adonis and Mizurik have also picked the medium. The one people that have stuck their neck out again and trying to throw me off once more is Flag to Flag. I'm still trying to work out if you guys are geniuses or mad, but you are doing something different, which I love to see. And you know, we're only on round 5, so I still haven't made my mind up yet. But you've got the Ultra Softs there for qualifying. They've got the softs presumably as a reasonably durable race tyre, and they put the hards on in case they just want to hold everybody up in Monaco, which I suppose is a legitimate strategy. They're the only ones with the hard tyres, so yeah. So let's sum them up again. So these are the guys. So I'm going to have to move this way. So we've got Ultra Soft, Super Soft and Softs for Nordstrom, Madcape, Epic, Red Archer and Red Bull Street Fighter. We've then got Ultra Softs, Softs and Mediums for ACR, Edge, Adonis, Missouric, Hawkeye, Storm, Evolution and Eval. And then you've got and then you get Flag to Flag doing their own thing as well. There is a fine line between mad and genius. There really is. It's that close, isn't it? And I think it's going to be on results. If it doesn't work out for you, you're mad. If you suddenly start scoring some really decent points, you're geniuses. That's pretty much how it works, isn't it? Sink or swim. Total development then. Let's go with that. Let's lose these. So total car development. So this is total development points. This isn't a percentage. I mean, it is a percentage, but it's a percentage out of about 900%. So yeah, so you get Eval have jumped the way up to the top again, as we expected every other round, so they've got 75 points of development. Edge have managed to move their way up with 72%, with that extra upgrade for 1, which puts them actually the same as Epic though. So even though they've developed it a round later, they've only got the same car that Epic ran the race before, so they're effectively a round behind with Epic, interestingly. ACR Zack Speed at 70, you've got Red Archer at 69, Hawkeye 67, Missouric, Storm, all very close here in the 66, 65, Evolution and Nordstrom with 63, Adonis 62 and Red Bull at 62. So all of that sort of middle ground there, sort of, it's not 70 to 62, isn't really making a huge difference that much. Definitely a misclick, fair enough. And then you've got the two at the bottom, which, as I've said, are oddballs at the moment, with Flag to Flag at 49% and Madcape at 47%. So that's your sort of car differences there. That's total though. It does. It's not literally saying that if you've got, say, Epic at 72, doesn't necessarily mean it's quicker than Storm's 65. Depends on where they put that development. That's just total development. And you can develop, and there's a whole thing where actually the teams develop quicker on certain areas depending on which staff they've got in the bidding process at the start. So it doesn't necessarily mean they've pumped more money or had more time or been cleverer with their developments. It just means they've picked the right areas, on, it could work, or they picked the right staff at the very start of the season. Who knows? But I quite like that graphic. It's quite should show you really the expectations. So Eval should be up the top, Edge should be up the top, Madcape and Flag to Flag should be at the back. So anything other than that is all driver related and strategies calls or tyre choices. So much going on really though that it's not quite as simple as that, but I like to try and make a simple graphic for you guys as much as possible, so when you're watching on Thursday, remember, it gives you a bit of an idea. The other one that I want to throw you, we haven't thrown up before, is pit stop times. Now this is an area you can develop. They can develop tyre repairs and they can also develop tyre change. Nobody's done repairs yet, nobody ever does until you do tyre change first, because you do that more often. So I thought it was quite interesting to show pit stop times, particularly as we're at Monaco, and the strategy calls could be interesting here. We could see people trying to do, Flag to Flag could use their hard tyres and try and do a one-stop and block everybody. But that means actually should be at the back based on their car there, Cameron. Doesn't mean based, they're not entitled to be at the back, just based up purely on the development levels of the car. So they might do well. We'll see how they do with this, if they can do a one-stop strategy or something along those lines with the hard tyres. It doesn't matter what their car's like. But the pit stop times, I'll show you here. So obviously at the top there, the shortest one is the shortest pit stop time. So there is an element of randomness and errors in this that Rfactor puts in, as it would be in human nature, but as we see in Formula 1. But as a rough guide, Red Archer there looking at the fastest pit stop times possible, and Flag to Flag looking at the worst times possible there. Depends very much on the staff you've hired, from the chief mechanic to the actual personnel you've got, and also if you've upgraded at all as well. So look at that. We were seeing last year, for example, the Vodball team managing to gain like 1.5 seconds on the Madcape team per pit stop. Back then, of course, we were doing about 5 to 6 stops. That makes a huge difference over a race distance, potentially, if you're battling away all race with those guys. we even saw it, I think, get to 2 seconds at one stage, but it's not quite as bad this time out. But actually, you still look there and go, if a red archer and a flag to flag are in the pits together battling away, which they're down, they're standing wise, they're sort of near each other, then actually the flag to flag could come out a whole second, nearly second, and a couple of attempts behind where they were when they went in, so you could get jumped. So it does make a big difference, even though you've had nothing to do with that wrong. All you're doing is on the pit limiter. So bad luck if that's the case. But it's nice to see that everyone's still quite close with it. Nobody's not really developing it as much. But yeah, I'm going to keep following this one. Monaco, particularly with the strategy calls and its lack of potential overtaking elsewhere in the pits, could be a big one for you there. We might put that one up on at another time as well when we come to tracks. I think we might end up doing a lot of pit stops, or that it may be a very legitimate strategy, but I think here is one that could really be the case. So that's all the ones you've got there. Of course, this is Monaco, so there's an awful lot happening. We've always got a chance of rain, even, for goodness sake. I mean, I don't think we'd be that unlucky, would we? Who knows? Obviously, it's going to be live on WTF1 on their Facebook page. It's going to be live on GPVWC's YouTube account, on SimNews' Twitch account. All these links will be placed in the description of this later on, and also on our Facebook and on the websites. I'm dying here now, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I've been telling you too much about everything that's going on at GPV. Before that, you have still got Formula Challenge tomorrow night. You've also then got Super Cup on Wednesday night, all of which done by SimNews.TV with the broadcast team there. Going to be some great races. These are the guys that you've seen moving into into Super League already, and like Kazdorp's moving up there. Whoever's going to jump in. And we've seen some guys that Siebel won the Super Cup last year and is now up the winning races in Super League. So it really is the breeding ground to have a look at and to know what's going on. They're all live on GPVWC's YouTube channel. Make sure that you catch that as well. If you can, it's always worth catching up as well. It doesn't have to be live. Catch up afterwards. Any questions on Super League? Make sure you do subscribe here and follow what's going on. Otherwise, you're missing out. Basically, you don't know what's happening. You enjoy half the interest of Super League to me as all the stuff that's gone on before that race. It's not just the racing on track, as good as that has been this year so far, as well. So you just get the whole package with Super League. It's incredible. So make sure you're watching there. I'll be back in 2 weeks' time ahead of the Canadian Grand Prix, telling you everything that's gone on there, because there should be an awful lot of upgrades kicking in there if all the teams have done their homework and know what they're doing. We'll start getting a better picture of what everyone's fancying to do as well. And I'd like to see if our mad scientists at the back can pull out a big explosion, or maybe some concoction that makes them jump to the front. Predictions. Oh dear. Yeah, I suppose I've always avoided that on this, haven't I, really, prediction-wise. We're looking pure, because that includes the drivers then. If I was just looking purely at teams, you really would start mixing it up. But when you throw who's in the cars as well, it really does make a big difference. Well, alright. Yeah, I mean, you can't really move away from those guys at the top at the moment. I'm loving the way Epic are putting their strategies in place at the moment. They seem to be getting that car into positions all the time, which around Monaco really could make a big difference. You can't really discount ACR and Edge. They seem to know what they're doing from a perspective of drivers and and the cars as well. Yeah. Well, I'm assuming that you were going to qualify there with flag to flag and at least do one on ultras. We have seen people do that in the past with Monaco. Pit early, get out of the traffic, get some free air, get your laps in that way. It might not be a legitimate strategy for guys that are having to qualify, but some of those guys that are on potentially starting on different tyres because they got back of the grids, who knows? You can be biased. Yeah, well, that's not what I'm here for, really. I always back my guys to the hilt, and they've proven me right so far this year. Everyone else, prove me wrong, I suppose. Can you beat us? If you want that as a challenge, there you go. Otherwise, I shall see you all on Thursday. Hopefully we'll have a bit of fun with the broadcast there as well. And yeah, pop your questions to me at any time and I'll try and cover something in depth if you want to know something about the Super League. Thank you for watching though. We've got so much more to come on SimNews.TV. Make sure you subscribed and followed us and liked and all those things. Basically, we're on everything nowadays. So make sure you hit us up on that. And we shall speak to you soon. Thank you everybody for watching, and I'll see you soon.